This is the unified field. It's a very real and measurable energy field that creates everything. In fact, the field is as close to measuring God as human beings have ever gotten. And get this, all of the wealth you could ever imagine, it already exists within the field. The money, the freedom, the love, the health, the lifestyle of your dreams and fantasies, it's all already yours. But something went horribly wrong. Somewhere along the line, you bought into the story that struggle and scarcity are real. And this scarcity story literally forced the field to give you everything you don't want. In the process of this happening, your scarcity story made you forget how powerful you truly are. Here's what I mean. Imagine, just for a second, the sun represents your financial dreams and fantasies, and the clouds represent your scarcity story. Now, when the clouds cover up the sun, does the sun still exist? Yes! So do you need to manifest the sun, your financial dreams and fantasies? Or clear away the cloud cover, the scarcity story you've been telling since, well, how long have you been telling it exactly? The worst part is your story about scarcity and limitation, it keeps growing every single day, constantly blocking, constantly resisting what you do want, even if you use law of attraction and other manifestation techniques. But what if it could be different? What if there was an easy way to tap into the field so you can start living the life of abundance you've been dreaming about since forever? And what if wearing any simple pair of headphones for just minutes a day could automatically reconnect you with the field? And what if your headphones could effortlessly allow your dreams and fantasies to reveal themselves, just as the rays of the sun effortlessly light your world when the cloud cover clears away? Just listen and watch your circumstances automatically transform as limitation disappears and your unlimited natural state of abundance becomes your reality. My name is Mark Fischetti. I'm a fourth grade dropout and literally the last person you would expect to be talking about wealth manifestation. But I was more fortunate than most because of the alternative way I grew up. Nobody told me what I couldn't do. And therefore, what I did is, in most people's eyes, miraculous. Now, I want to repeat the Amit Goswami quote from the beginning of this presentation. He's a best-selling author, was in What the Bleep Do We Know, and is a former University of Oregon physics professor. He said, "We all have the habit of thinking that everything around us is already a thing, existing without my input, without my choice." Right there is the biggest lie ever told to humanity, because nothing exists without you and your attention upon it. Nothing. Now, what Amit is talking about, it has a name. It's called the law of attention, because every single thing in your life and your experience of reality is becoming where your attention is right now. This is very different from the law of attraction. You see, the field exists in two forms: waves, particles. The waveform is where everything exists in pure possibility, while the particle form is your physical experience. It's when the infinite possibility becomes your finite experience, or the circumstances you live on a daily basis. And it's your attention that chooses whether you're focusing on the wave of possibility or the particle of limitation. In other words, it's your attention that focuses on the finite of your current experience and keeps recreating it. You keep becoming it. And it's also your attention that allows your current circumstances to go back into possibility so you can create something new and different, maybe better. This is what quantum physicists, including Einstein himself, call the observer effect. And the observer effect dictates that you can't separate the observer from the observed. They're one thing. In other words, Everything you're experiencing right now, whether you want it or not, you observed into reality through your attention. And here's the thing. As long as you're giving your attention to what you don't want, it must continue existing in your reality, your subjective reality, because that's what Einstein and the laws of quantum physics have shown. No, you're not attracting anything. You never were. And the whole law of attraction fad has actually tricked millions of people into giving more of their power away and their money to the creation their attention has well created. In other words, you've already manifested everything you are and have. Nobody needed to teach you. The problem is you created it all from your extremely limited, scarcity-minded subconscious conditioning, but it's not your fault. You see, nobody told you that the most important skill you would ever have is knowing how to direct your effortless attention towards what you want. The question is, how do you direct your attention when 97% of your thoughts and your decisions come from subconscious conditioning and programming? I mean, how could you possibly do that? You don't even know what programs your subconscious is running in the background of your every single conscious thought. How can you change something that you don't even know exists? It's a pretty sickening catch-22, right? Well, there is an easy way out of this, and I can't wait to tell you what it is. But first, I want to tell you how I discovered it when I was just 24 years old. Okay, so my story about discovering and then living all of this law of attention stuff is a long story, but it's an important story because I'm proof of what can happen when there's nobody around to tell you what you can't do or what isn't possible. And I really had to figure that out the hard way. You see, I've always been a master manifester, and I'm not just saying that. But at some point, we all forget who we really are, what we came into this life knowing, no matter how it is we know it. And one of the scariest times I've ever experienced when I truly forgot my power was in December of 2005. I was broke and broken. I made one horrible, bad financial decision after another. And the surplus of money I had built up over the years was gone. In fact, it wasn't just gone, but I put my family into massive credit card debt. And being a fourth grade dropout, I wasn't qualified for any kind of job that paid decent money. I really messed up badly. What made me sad was I didn't even have enough money to buy presents for Christmas. And the emotional pain of not being able to buy my wife and 4-year-old daughter Christmas presents broke my heart. I wanted so much to be able to take care of them and give them the life I never had. Well, I realized I could never make enough money to crawl out of my massive debt, even if I could get a job. So it felt pointless and I felt hopeless. But then I had an idea. Now, I had an extremely unconventional upbringing, which is a gross understatement. So I thought to myself, what if I write a book or ebook about how I educated myself and lived outside the quote-unquote norm of society? My wife didn't understand. She asked me, we have rent due in 2 weeks, Mark, and no way to pay it. And your solution is writing a book? I said, yes. I started going to the Wandering Goat Coffee House in Eugene, Oregon for the next 7 days straight. And in that week's time, I wrote what became an ebook called Becoming, the Evolution of Being. It was a spiritual self-help ebook. And honestly, I had no idea if it was even any good. I never got it professionally edited, so it was full of bad grammar and really bad writing. But it was all I had. In the next few days, I taught myself how to use Adobe Photoshop and Dreamweaver to build a simple website. Check. I taught myself how to get to the top of Google's natural ranking on certain keywords with articles I wrote. Check. I converted my 80-page Word doc into a simple PDF and called it an ebook. Check. I slapped a $17 price tag on it. Check. And that's where I found myself, just days away from Christmas. We had less than $1,000 to our names. And instead of putting that money aside for food, rent, bills, and necessities, I filled the empty bottom of our Christmas tree with presents. I made sure that no matter what, I was going to give my family a Merry Christmas. And I did. But then the fear of what I did really started to mount. It really hit me. I asked myself, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? And then I really had to wonder if I did. New Year's Day comes and my bank account is now in the red. I wrote checks I couldn't cover just to eat. That's when I remembered this really cool scene from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It had a big impact on me. Indiana found himself at a bridge that you can only see when you take the first step. So, Indiana, he put his hand on his heart and he stepped out into a dark, deep abyss. And what happened? The bridge suddenly appeared. I kept playing that scene over and over again in my mind. Around the same time, I met an older man at the coffee shop where I did all my writing. He came up to me and said, "You look lost and scared. Use this." It was this weird tone he played for me on his iPod. I listened for just a few minutes and felt instantly transformed. He said, "These sounds are the sounds your brain naturally makes. This tone merely helps clear away the noise in your head." He told me where to get these tones so I can listen to them anytime I needed. And my life was never the same. When I was going through massive trauma and hardship, this tone always helped me ground down and get clearer, more confident. And confidence is what I so desperately wanted and needed. I had to believe I made the right decision. I had to believe I didn't just completely screw my family. I had to believe I was moving in the right direction. That's when I started asking myself, how will my unlimited natural state reveal itself for me to experience right now? And every single time my fear would come up, I just go back to asking that question. All the while, I was now listening to my weird brainwave tones on my iPod my wife got for me for Christmas. And lo and behold, the Indiana Jones bridge revealed itself. In other words, I got my first sale. Yeah, I know it was just $17, but it was the most satisfying $17 I ever made in my entire life, and the excitement it generated inside of me was unbelievable. I didn't stop there. Over the next few days, the sales started raining in, and before I knew it, I had enough money to pay rent, and we were only 4 days late, not even late enough for them to call us. But again, it didn't stop there. Over the next 6 months, I pulled in over 200 grand, and I never looked back since, all because I chose to acknowledge my fears and immediately redirect my attention towards my natural state. That's when I realized my only work in this life is to acknowledge where I've given my power away to an emotional charge and tell the truth about the story I've lost myself in. And the truth is, it's not a matter of manifesting or quote unquote creating something out of nothing. It's a matter of clearing away any resistance you have to your natural state of abundance and let the sunshine of who you really are light up your reality with its abundance. What does that feel like to you? Now, an emotional charge is pretty much what it sounds like. It's having a charge or an emotional reaction to something happening in your reality. It could be a larger total at the grocery store that threatens your bank balance, or getting an unexpected car repair bill that will cost you thousands of dollars and you have no idea how you're going to afford it. Your emotional reaction to those things is signaling to you the most important bit of information you could ever know. It's saying, I'm telling a limitation story about this, whatever this is right in front of you. And yes, it's usually about money. It's telling you, I've given away my power to this. And I'm telling a story about limitation. And the only way to effortlessly allow your natural state of abundance into your life is to acknowledge you're focusing your attention on the illusion of limitation the moment you feel it. And it's an illusion because it's only real to you because you believe it. And only you believe it because it's been a part of your subconscious conditioning for your entire life. But an illusion is only real if you believe it. The moment you see the metaphorical man behind the curtain, you can't unsee it. In other words, the reason abundance, especially financial abundance, might feel like pie in the sky to you is because of your subconscious conditioning. The conditioning that's been programmed into you since you were a child. It's always resisting what you want and what's natural for you to have. Here's a visual analogy. Imagine all of your emotional baggage and subconscious conditioning is in a backpack you wear 24/7. As long as that backpack is full of your old story, you'll continue being blind to the unlimited potential that's always surrounding you. In other words, a full backpack doesn't leave any room for you to allow what you want into your life. But when you have an emotional charge and you acknowledge that your old story is being, pushed against by whatever circumstances you're reacting to, well, in that very instant, you've just lightened the load in your backpack a little bit. Because acknowledging where you've given away your power when you feel an emotional charge is how you can easily and quickly clear away your old story, clear the clouds away from the sun. And therefore, the resistance to what you really want. And every time you acknowledge having an emotional charge in reaction to whatever limiting story you've been telling or whatever circumstances are playing out in your quote unquote reality, the backpack gets lighter and lighter. And your resistance to your unlimited natural state becomes less and less, which means everything you want has a clearer path of less resistance for it to become your reality. Then, as you reveal more and more of this real life magic, it becomes easier and easier to believe in the unlimited, just as much, if not more, than the illusion of limitation. In other words, discovering how to empty your backpack helps you discover your subconscious conditioning and frees up your attention to allow your natural state of abundance to become your experience, your life. But there's actually a way to accelerate dissolving your old story so you can open up to your natural state faster. And just in case you haven't put it together yet, your natural state of abundance is the field. And it can be accessed by listening to the same brainwave tone that the mysterious man gave me that day in the coffee shop. Now, this weird sound might seem mysterious, but it's an organic part of how your brain functions. You see, the brain functions in wave frequencies, and the wave of your subconscious, where all your conditioning and resistance is buried, is called theta. And it was a theta tone that I'd listen to with my headphones every single day that helped me, a fourth grade dropout who never once had so much as a tutor or a curriculum, achieve massive abundance personally and for the people I've helped. Now, here's how listening to theta tones works. Right now, your subconscious is constantly absorbing new information that actually strengthens your old story. The very story that is keeping what you want just beyond your grasp. And it's your old conditioning that directs your attention to only see what reinforces it. You see, your subconscious has a very real and direct connection with the field. So if your subconscious is saturated with old scarcity-based and limiting conditioning, the field must keep giving you more of the same. In essence, the old conditioning or old story creates and perpetuates a mental movie in your mind, and the movie just loops over and over again, holding you prisoner to the illusion of scarcity it creates in you. In other words, the old story and conditioning is the cloud cover that's blocking your unlimited natural state of abundance from freely shining into your life, right down on you, right now. But the moment your brain hears this powerful tone and suggestive hypnosis, everything automatically begins to shift. Here's what happens. When you put on your headphones, the theta tones directly access your subconscious and help your brain listen to a new story. And it forces the cloud cover to start clearing away. Now, quickly ask yourself, how did I learn my conditioning? How did I learn my limiting beliefs? If you're like me, and if you're like most people, it just kind of happened. That's why it's called your subconscious. It's underneath your conscious level of thinking. Now, here's what's amazing. When you listen to your theta tones, it's like having a direct portal into your subconscious. That's why I began to manifest incredible abundance when I started listening to this weird tone. I was deliberately directing my attention towards what I wanted every time I listened to my theta tones. And it literally reprogrammed my subconscious, clearing away all the limiting beliefs I carried with me my whole life. Eventually, I started recording my own hypnosis or guided meditation tracks over my theta tones. It helped me, quote unquote, learn without me, Mark, the identity, having to learn anything. These meticulously constructed Hypnosis tracks help me clear away my old story from my subconscious and clear away my built-in resistance to my natural state of abundance. The longer I listened to these tones, more and more baggage was automatically removed from my backpack, and effortless abundance became easier and easier because my attention was finally free to easily focus on my new story instead of letting my old story have the power to painfully resist what was naturally mine. That's when I discovered the law of attention. Now, there's a huge difference, and I mean huge, between the law of attraction and the law of attention. Intentions are fleeting and can change with the wind. That's reality. Reality with quotation marks. And because your attention is determined by your conditioning, your intentions, as good as they may be, don't stand a chance in the battle against your constant attention, driven by your conditioning. Check out this example. Let's say your car breaks down and you're hit with a $5,000 bill, literally, out of nowhere. Of course you're going to intend for a way to pay that bill as quickly as possible. Of course you are. Just imagine yourself finding that internal place where you know everything will be okay. And being able to trust that the universe will answer your call and give you what you're intending for. But then fear kicks back in, and all of a sudden, all you can think about is, how am I going to pay this? That's because your old story, your conditioning, is directing your attention, not you, and definitely not your intentions. But ask yourself yet another question. What if you could point your attention where you wanted it and never feel the resistance of your old story forcing you to focus on anything you absolutely do not want? Because when you've emptied your backpack, your attention is no longer seduced by your current circumstances. Do you want that power? Do you want to harness the law of attention? Well, now you can. It's called the Wealth Compass. Now, the Wealth Compass program is unlike anything in the self-development marketplace because I'm not trying to help you learn how to manifest anything. Far from it.